How's it going, Culturalists? I'm QB, and today on Culturalist Theory, we're headed down south to cover the catalog of Charlotte, North Carolina native Anthony Hamilton. This list will not include these compilations Out in the Wind, nor his Home for the Holidays album. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe if you aren't already, and we've got a super thanks button down there so you can show us some love there as well. Now that we set the stage, let's get this show started. Number 7, Ecstasy. Ask 9 out of 10 people to name the first album by Anthony Hamilton, and their answer will be 2003's Coming From Where I'm From. And you can't blame them for believing that, but it would be false. You need to reach all the way back to 1996 for his entirely slept-on MCA project called Ecstasy. When the lead track, Total Ecstasy, comes on, there's no denying the familiarity with his voice nor the pure 90s sound of production, which was largely handled by a guy named Golden Fingers. The lone single was a Trackmaster production, Nobody Else, which managed to slide within the top 100 of the Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs chart, but probably only the most hardcore and in-the-know R&B aficionados could even recall its existence. One's worth a listen if you're down to seek him out on the wonderful world of YouTube, or You're My Type of Woman, Spend Some Time, In the Mood, and I Will Go featuring Terry Robinson. However, Hamilton sounded just like every other R&B singer of the era, and none of the music made him stand out amongst a crowded field of crooners vying for attention. Simply having a decent voice alone wasn't gonna cut it, which he quickly messed around and found out. Ecstasy sold wood in the hood. Anthony was subsequently dropped and forgotten about for years before finally re-emerging on Jermaine Dupri's So Def imprint in an effort that would make the world take notice. Number 6, What I'm Feeling. Typically, when an artist takes an extended hiatus, it usually does them some good. They come back with a renewed energy, focus, and ready to deliver some of their best material yet. But in the case of Anthony Hamilton, 4+ years away from the spotlight, the resulting What I'm Feeling is not quite what we expected. Let's talk about the good stuff first, shall we? The title track, featuring his hand-picked backup singers dubbed the Hamiltones, racked up a Grammy nomination for Best Traditional R&B Performance in the year following its 2016 release. The album hit number 2 on the hip hop and R&B charts, its highest charting record to date, and the tracks Amen, Grateful, and Still are decent, but that's about where the praise ends. The amount of mediocrity here is what we're not feeling. The first 2 cuts will have you questioning if you even turned on the right album because they sound far from Hamilton's usual output. It's always a gamble when you leave the majority of the production in the hands of a small few. In this case, longtime collaborator Mark Batson, who crafted all but 2 songs. Suffice it to say, he crapped out on the roll of the dice this time. Anthony tries to reel us in with his life sorrows on Walk in My Shoes, but the end result is nowhere near as compelling as his own song Pray For Me that preceded it. And although we can understand where he's coming from on Take You Home and wanting mama's approval of the lady in his life, it's hard to get this particular voice out of our head when he says it out loud.
Tell you once that she knows it all, and then that's where you need to be.
Sorry, not sorry, bruh. None of these songs hit your soul just right, and any slow burners you were hoping to find are MIA here. Whatever Anthony was feeling inside when he crafted his 6th outing did not translate through this batch of music. Next, number 5, The Point of It All. This album is a prime example of being good enough, but nothing spectacular. It lacks any strings of catchy tunes that you'll want to play back repeatedly. Take the lead single Cool featuring David Banner, for instance. The music and lyrics are indeed cool, and Banner's appearance does give the song some extra flavor, but the hook is just too generic to be even remotely memorable. When you first put on Praying For You /Superman, if those deep southern country vibes turn you off before he even says the first word, you'll never get to enjoy the chant and response near his climax or the bluesy piano groove on the Superman segment of the song. The Day We Met is a nice upbeat song, and it appears that Nick Cannon had taken his part of the song quite literally.
Have us a couple of babies as many we can afford. Come on, do it for me.
And while Anthony's holding steady at 6 as of this writing, Nick's only 3 shy of a complete NBA roster. But anyway, Souls on Fire is a decent one, and the late Heavy D produced the sad I Miss My Lady melody, She's Gone. The Grammy guys actually made the right call in at least nominating the title track for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance, as it's undoubtedly the best song here. So while The Point of It All did no harm to his discography, at the same time, it didn't necessarily boost it up either. Number 4, Love Is the New Black. Seeing that the sound of his prior effort didn't resonate with audience as he'd hoped, Hamilton switched gears musically and favors a much more sample-heavy sound on his latest album, 2021's Love Is the New Black. Not sure what was ever wrong with the original Black, but that's another conversation for a different station. Things started off much better than last time on the title track and the following song, threw it all away. Hip-hop fans of a certain era will quickly recognize the sample used on Real Love, yet the vibe is marred by lackluster bars from Rick Ross. A Lil Jon and Anthony Hamilton collaboration looks silly on paper and sounds even worse in practice on I'm Ready. But after that, things even out as the music rocks on. Hamilton calls up Jennifer Hudson to help cover Superstar, originally sung by Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, but popularized by Luther Vandross. And don't beat yourself up for thinking that Vandross did it first, because we were just as surprised to find this out as you. We get to hear Hamilton really put some soul into I Thought We Were in Love, channel Lenny Williams' Pain and Hurt on You Made a Fool of Me, while head honcho of a former label Jermaine Dupri produced Coming Home, which utilizes an electric guitar sound reminiscent of 70s era Isley Brothers. And the way Safe incorporates Wu-Tang Clan's Reunited is a good look. We just wish he could have convinced the Tecalian Stallion Method Man to pick up his pen for a Hot 16. Overall, Love Is the New Black is a much needed return to form for Hamilton with solid replay value. Although Anthony currently has 17 Grammy nominations, his only win is through a feature on Al Green's 2008 song You've Got the Love I Need for Best Traditional R&B Vocal Performance. Just another example of the Grammy guys getting things wrong, which we will touch on in greater detail one of these days, we promise. Like the late great Nathaniel Nate Dogg Hale before him, Hamilton has been known to lend his voice to an array of hip-hop and R&B songs. Some of our favorites include the Jadakiss single Why, Nappy Roots, Po Folks, Eve's Ride Away, and a duet with Sunshine Anderson titled Late Night. What are some of your favorite tracks that he's blessed? Better yet, what's some of your favorite tracks from his mid-2000s compilation? Let us know in the comments below. Now back to the list. Number 3, Ain't Nobody Worrying. Picking up where Coming From Where I'm From left off, Hamilton returned with album number 3 just in time for Christmas 2005. And when he loves strong, as evidenced on singles Can't Let Go and Sister Big Bones, which features comedian Monique in the accompanying video. Clearly, this brother knew something that most of America didn't learn to appreciate until years later. So shout out to Anthony for showing his big girl some love. Dig into Southern stuff for even more of what gets his fire lit. The theme of love progresses throughout as heard on I Know What Love's About, Change Your World, and Never Love Again, where he bears his vulnerabilities, explaining why it's hard for him to trust once his heart gets broken. Hamilton also provides us with some musical theater on Preacher's Daughter and on the album title track, which was co-produced by Raphael Sadiq. Carrying over a dozen tracks, the skips are at a minimum, with everybody being the biggest offender. While we can appreciate the attempt to mix things up musically, the island vibes present simply washed up on the wrong shore. Although the album charted higher than its predecessor, peaking at number 19 and number 4 on the Billboard 200 and hip hop and R&B charts respectively, sales-wise, it fell short. Nevertheless, ain't nobody worrying about that when they're just about to get a taste of some of that southern stuff they like. Number 2, Back to Love. Mirroring the Best R&B Album Grammy nod and the Billboard 200 and hip hop and R&B chart positions that The Point of It All did 3 years earlier, thankfully, this is where the similarities cease between the two projects. 2011's Back to Love is better produced and the feelings are more captivating. It didn't hurt that he got a trio of assists from Babyface, including the first 2 singles, Woo and the significantly better Pray For Me, where the original King of Sorrow, Sorry Sade, backs Anthony up on the vocals for a true impact on our hearts. It's a shame that there was never an official video to promote the song, yet it was still nominated for the Best R&B Song Grammy. The last single, Best of Me, is another solid one that will stay with you for a while and is his second most streamed track on Spotify, only behind the one we're going to touch on shortly. Once hopeful R&B star Carrie Hilson joins Hamilton on the catchy Never Let Go, before closing the album out strongly but solemnly on Who's Loving You and Life Has a Way. The deluxe version adds 4 more tracks to the score, with the standout being yet another sad song, Broken Man, having to scrap marriage plans with Bey after peeping some cell phone pics that didn't come from someone who's just a friend. R.I.P. to Biz Markie. After enjoying the album we're about to slide into next, Back to Love is easily the one that should follow it. Number 1, Coming From Where I'm From.
Head for the turnaround. Head for the turnaround.
That's exactly what Anthony Hamilton did with his second shot at the music biz. Went from random chorus singer on the brink of obscurity and then turned around to create a sound truer to himself, in addition to gaining the backing of Jermaine Dupri's So So Def label. The resulting project was 2003's Coming From Where I'm From, with song titles such as Cornbread, Fish and Collard Greens, and Since I Seen You, not seen, but seen you, it's fair to assume that the flavor Anthony's bringing is purely from the South. The title track was how he reintroduced himself to the world, and ironically enough, he never mentions exactly what cities he's from. But by leaving that open to interpretation, he also makes the song about hard times easily relatable to listeners in any town worldwide. Genius. How the first track, Mama Knew Love, never became a single, much less the first one, being that it borrows from Jay-Z's The Blueprint for the backdrop, is still quite interesting. It would have been an easy way to reach the hip-hop crowd while sharing his soulful vocals. However, that avoided Hamilton falling into the trappings of his failed debut. Tracks like I'm a Mess and My First Love, featuring LaToya Williams, really let his emotiveness shine, but we all know that the Grammy-nominated Charlene is the real crown jewel here, a bona fide classic now 20 years strong.
Come home to me.
From Where I'm From remains his only platinum selling effort, and if you ask us, the only one you don't need a skip button for either. Just let the soul flow. Now this right here was indeed the turnaround that revived Anthony's singing career. We hope y'all enjoyed this one, Culturalist, and as always, we want to know, did we rank this one right or would you score it another way? Let us know about it in the comments below. Once again, I'm QB for Culturalist Theory. Hit those like, subscribe, and share buttons, and we'll catch you here one more again, same time, same place, for another list. Be sure to peep the videos right here and right there to tide you over until then.